This guy has beaten Skyrim in less than 23 minutes. His name is Vess and he's speedrunning. And I think we all speedrun sometimes, because you just want to get the item, you just have 30 minutes to play and you need to go to bed. You just want to suck the most of the game because you have little time to do so. School, job, whatever. And that's bad. That's really bad because that spoils the whole experience. I'm Sir Absurd and I'm going to be talking about the negative effects of hushing your game. Do you play often like that? Maybe not that extremely hushed. Sometimes you just want to finish the mission. You just want to get the item and you forget the most important part of the game. It is actually enjoying the journey. I'm going to be talking about the negative effects of just rushing the game. I'm not here to judge anyone who plays a different style. Everyone has their preference and that's totally okay. But I want to point some drawbacks of just rushing a game, especially if you are doing it all the time. I usually did that when I was a kid and I still do that sometimes. Although when I was a kid, I needed to go to bed in a specific time and all the problem is the lack of time. Nowadays, when I find myself doing this hushing, I usually take a deep breath and try to think why I'm playing this game. You know that slow food talking? People just eating slowly to enjoy what they are eating? That's basically the same principle. If you are eating something that you know is not that good, like let's say some salad with no salt or any condiments, then it's okay to just hush it in. But if you spend 1 hour in the kitchen cooking something up, or if you went to an expensive restaurant, you're actually gonna stop and enjoy that food because that took you some money, that took you some time. And the main thing here is that while you're playing, the biggest thing you're investing is time. Time that you could be investing in learning something, in being with your friends, being with your loved ones. Why don't you take that time and actually focus on the game so you can take most of the experience? The point of just stopping and enjoying what you're doing. That's a big thing. You cannot just be applying to games, but to everything else. Actually to mindfully do something. Not just be there consuming and consuming, be there with your body and soul, you know. So this revision of rushing mostly focused for playing Starfield, because this game is gonna come up in about 5 weeks and we need to be ready to play it as it should be played. Not a hushing, unless of course you are speedrunning, but most of us will be playing for the enjoyment of playing it. So really put yourself in the story, feel the character and set with it. If you are just rushing the game, you won't remember much of the story. It's more important when it's a RPG with a vast story and deep lore. If you're just rushing it, yes, you can be processing it, but you won't develop any kind of feelings about it, because you're consuming it as if it was fast food. And if the RPG has a very good lore, let's say a top 5 stars restaurant lore, you need to stop and enjoy it. You know, when you spend 1 hour watching shorts or stories on YouTube, and when someone asks you, what do you remember from this past 1 hour? And then you can say, oh, I think I remember 5 of those stories. Most of the other ones were just forgettable. They just were a moment in time that's passed. And now you're thinking, well, I had some enjoyment, but I don't even remember what I did. When you read a book that you really love, you have a special experience about it. And you start to feel sad when the book is ending. That's because you develop an actual emotional connection with the characters and with the story. And I think that just rushing through the story in a game will not be able to develop the same thing. Because in the book, you are actively reading everything. If you try to rush, probably you will start to just read words, not interpret them. And I think the same thing can be applied to a game. When you have to go from point A to point B, don't just go from point A to point B. Try to see around, see what you find. You know that story about the guy who was doing the main mission 1 hour in, and then he spent 10 hours out of the main mission because he found a side quest that led him to another side quest, that led to another side quest, and then he had to follow a whole set of side quests that kind of interlinked, and he was amazed by that. Finally continues the main quest after having a whole experience just playing side quests because he was enjoying the game, not just rushing to do that mission. There's no right way of playing a game if you're having fun with it. Maybe you're just messing around with the VR set, like in Skyrim you can just use our VR set and kind of grab people and drag them around. It's kind of funny. So don't play games as if you were in some auto mode. You know the movie Click from 2007 with Adam Sandler? When the guy got to some boring stage of his life, he would just go into auto mode and not remember anything until he finished that stage. You don't want to be in a stage where you're playing a game. You want to be there, you want to be experienced the whole thing, you get it? So if you're rushing, you are developing your character, okay, but you are developing your character like a fast food. You're not enjoying the journey, you're just making him go from point A from point B. There are many poems that actually deal with that. Enjoy the journey, the destination is not worth it by itself. And after rushing this, not enjoying the journey, you probably notice that you don't care about your character. And that's a consequence, because you were there just to get to the point B, and you forgot about the journey. And caring takes time and dedication to your character. If you go to a mechanic into the game like, oh, I have to follow this build, because this build is a thing that I need to do because I want to play like that. The thing is that builds are very good for competitive games, but for RPG games, they don't go so far. Because you're gonna change your mind in midway. You're gonna see, hey, this way of playing is not actually how I want to play it. I'm gonna change my character. And it is actually a point to Starfield, because different from Oblivion, it has adopted this skill system that enables you to have a lot more flexibility with your character. Which means that you're not locked to end a game in that set of character. You can just like get a perk and start using more of another skill, and then you'll be able to excel in another way of playing the game, not being locked to one style of playing it. If you're playing the game in a hushed way to just be able to get the achievement, that's another problem, dude. Yeah, I respect that you want to be a completionist, but I see a lot of people just going and saying, oh man, I am starting to hate this game because this achievement is impossible. And then you have to stop and think. Achievements are there to incentive you to play more, because setting specific achievements make people engage more in the game and make them even happier if they are just playing the game and achievement pops up. Congrats, you have killed 100 characters. Something like that. And the change is that when you start doing achievements and you start disliking the game because you're doing achievements, you can be a completionist, okay, no problem with that, but that's something that happens. That's why I avoid playing games to get achievements. I play games until it's fun to me. When they say, oh man, this game is not that fun anymore, let's see what else we have here, stop playing. One of the worst things you can do to a game is to spoil all the past experience you had with it by getting bad vibes when you are playing it just to get an achievement. So missing out the fun of the game, mainly an RPG, deals with focus too much on the destiny, not enjoying the exploration. If there's a game with exploration in the name, it's gonna be Starfield, because you literally have a field of stars, 1,000 planets for you to discover. Don't throw away all that exploration potential just because you want to rush in. That would be sad. So those were some of the negative aspects of playing an RPG game as if you were speedrunning or as if you had lack of time. So remember to enjoy the little things in an RPG, enjoy the scenery, truly interact with the character, don't go jumping their lines. One thing that I even recommend, don't use subtitles, because then you actually have to listen and look to the characters. Sometimes I find myself just reading the lines and jumping ahead. The guy is like, but. You get me. Enjoy the ride, not just the destiny. If you actually love rushing games, then maybe become a speedrunner. You can even get into the Guinness World Records for it. Now that I ended this video, it's actually a lot more philosophical than I thought it would be. That wraps up the video about rushing games. If you want, just check this video about factions in Starfield, or have some laughs with this sitcom version of Starfield. Stay tuned to enjoy more Starfield content here with Sir Absurd.